Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got some exciting Duggar family news that fans have been buzzing about all over social media. So grab your coffee because this one is going to be sweet, surprising, and full of family joy. There was no indication that anything noteworthy was going to happen as the day got underway. Normally calm and reserved, Jason Duggar had a secret that had been festering inside of him for weeks. Maddie Gray stood next to him, her eyes glowing in a way that only those closest to her could identify, her smile more radiant than usual. The announcement was straightforward but impactful when it was made. Maddie's voice trembled with emotion and joy as she announced that she was pregnant. With a gesture that was more powerful than words, Jason's hand tightened around hers, giving her the assurance that he would support her every step of the way. As the news spread, the room became joyful. The laughter reverberated throughout the home as family members hugged one another. For Jason, it was more than simply an announcement. It was the start of a new chapter in his life that would change his responsibilities as a brother, son, and soon a father. Maddie's statement, "I will give my newborn baby a name after he is born," hung in the air. It was a touching, intimate pledge that served as a reminder that this was only the beginning. After learning the news, fans hurried to congratulate one another, saturating social media with supportive and loving posts. Jason and Maddie were in the middle of a tornado of happiness at that precise moment. The announcement was about more than simply a baby. It was about legacy, hope, and the prospect of an unexpectedly brighter future. It seemed as though a spark had been kindled when Jason and Maddie's announcement reached the Duggar family. Laughter, tears, and the kind of warmth that only family can provide filled the air. In a chorus of congratulations, brothers and sisters hurried forward, their voices overlapping. While some gave Jason a firm hug, others held Maddie tenderly, as if they were already guarding the life she was carrying. Parents' eyes gleamed with recollections of their own parenting journeys as they grinned with pride. For them, this was more than simply another significant event. It was a fresh branch emerging from roots that had been cultivated for many generations, continuing the family's history. Though they were too young to completely comprehend the significance of the revelation, children instinctively sensed the delight and danced about the room. Their laughter reverberated off the walls, mingling with older siblings' chatter about nursery colors, baby outfits, and the joy of having a new cousin. Jason was overcome by the love all around him as he stood in the middle of it all. As she took in the warmth of the family's hug, Maddie's smile remained constant and her hand never left his. The pair came to the realization that they weren't traveling alone at that precise moment. This unborn child was already the property of the Duggar family, with its wide-ranging branches and unending support. The responses were a promise rather than just a celebration. A pledge that the child of Jason and Maddie would be raised in an environment of love, joy, and the fortitude of a cohesive family. The announcement was not kept inside the Duggar residence for very long. The news immediately went viral on social media when it was shared with the public. Eager to express their excitement, fans who had followed Jason's journey for years flocked to their phones. In a matter of minutes, happy conjecture, congratulations, and heart emoticons flooded timelines. While some followers shared old pictures of Jason as a child and expressed their amazement at how fast life had changed, others wrote lengthy threads about the type of parents Jason and Maddie would be. The enthusiasm was infectious. Discussions erupted on online forums devoted to the Duggar family, with participants rejoicing as if they were actually a member of the family. Each response was filled with love and excitement as predictions about future milestones, nursery themes, and baby names came in. The outpouring of support was tremendous for Maddie and Jason. Even though they had anticipated delight, they had not anticipated the overwhelming amount of affection that would flow in from both newcomers and devoted fans. As though the fans themselves had been welcomed into the family's inner circle, each message exuded a feeling of mutual happiness. The commotion was more than simply noise. It was a chorus of voices joining together in joy. Jason, and Maddie came to the realization that their story had impacted the lives of thousands of people who had never even met them, and that their child was already loved. Jason found himself thinking back on the journey that had brought him to this point as the exhilaration of the announcement subsided into a cozy glow. His life had always been molded by family when he was growing up in the Duggar home. The cacophony of siblings, the teachings of faith, and the continual reminder that every decision had significance. He recalled the exhausting days spent recording, the cameras catching both commonplace and remarkable situations. Those years had been a blend of responsibility and exploration for Jason, teaching him how to strike a balance between the quiet quest for his own identity and the demands of a large family. He had gained endurance, patience, and the value of remaining true to himself as a result of it all. Jason felt those lessons take on new significance as he stood next to Maddie. Fatherhood was now a tangible, urgent, and intensely personal experience rather than only an abstract concept. He considered the type of father he wished to be for his child, a nice, solid man who could provide both freedom and direction. Jason had the strength of his past with him, but the path ahead remained uncertain. All of his struggles, victories, and development experiences had equipped him for today. He became aware that his story was about more than just himself as he gazed at Maddie, her hand softly resting on her stomach. It was about the legacy they would leave behind and the family they were creating together. Maddie Grace spoke with a quiet assurance that caught everyone's attention as the celebration's glow persisted. Her tone was gentle yet firm, and she seemed to be making a promise that would last forever. She promised to give her newborn a name that was meaningful, loving, and thoughtful when he arrived. It was a pledge, not merely a declaration. The promise that made the future seem real even before it had arrived was born by Maddie's words. She pictured herself holding her child for the first time, gazing into his eyes, and automatically figuring out the best name for him. Jason listened intently, pride filling his heart. He understood that Maddie's pledge was more than just custom. It was her way of commemorating the start of their child's journey, one that would be told with compassion and optimism. The earnestness in her voice moved the family surrounding them, and they nodded. Maddie's pledge became a metaphor for the path ahead at that very time. It was more than just naming a child. It involved molding a life, forging an identity, and incorporating their love into the very first word their child would ever utter. Fans started talking about one particular aspect that appeared to catch everyone's attention as the news of Maddie's pregnancy became more widely known: the baby's name. Curiosity was aroused by Maddie's vow to select it after birth, and rumors swiftly proliferated. Possibilities were murmured at family get-togethers and online forums. Some had a preference for more conventional names that reflected the Duggar faith and history. Others came up with a contemporary name that would distinguish Jason and Maddie's child from previous generations. There was a sense of anticipation in every suggestion, as if the name itself might disclose something about the life that lay ahead. Jason and Maddie listened silently, keeping their thoughts to themselves while grinning at the excitement. For them, the name was an expression of their love, identity, and the link they already shared with their unborn child, not just a passing fad or custom. Fans and family alike were able to connect with the journey through the speculation, which evolved into more than simply gossip. Every forecast and every guest served as a reminder that this baby was already loved and a part of innumerable lives. Even though the identity was still unknown, the suspense further deepened the narrative and propelled everyone towards the day when Maddie's promise would at last be realized. Jason and Maddie found themselves thinking back on their road to get here in the quiet moments following the announcement. Distance, the burden of expectations, and the incessant stares of those who watched their lives had all put their relationship to the strain. But despite everything, they had become closer, establishing love and trust as the cornerstones of their bond. Jason recalled the early days when discussions lasted long into the night and were laced with aspirations for the future. Maddie remembered how they laughed together and how Jason's constant presence helped to allay her anxieties. Every memory was a thread, and the threads had come together to create something that could not be broken. Their relationship appeared to be stronger than before as they stood hand in hand. There was a serene assurance in Maddie's eyes that Jason would be the companion she needed in this new phase of her life. In turn, Jason was incredibly appreciative of Maddie's fortitude, friendliness, and ability to make any obstacle seem manageable. Their love was solid, strong, and firmly established. It was neither ostentatious nor flamboyant. And as they were getting ready to have a kid, that connection evolved from a simple friendship to the promise of a family and the conviction that they would tackle any challenges together. Beyond just personal happiness, the news of Jason and Maddie's baby reverberated across the hallways of a family whose history had already spanned centuries. Numerous stories were spun around the Duggar name, with each kid and grandchild contributing a new thread to the fabric. Jason's path to fatherhood now constituted a new chapter in his tradition. The revelation brought up memories of their own origins for the family's elder members. They recalled the restless nights, the initial sobs, and the tender moments spent cuddling a newborn. Every memory served as a reminder that the Duggar legacy was based on ties to family, faith, and perseverance rather than just celebrity. Although it wasn't a hardship, Jason felt the weight of that past. Rather, it was a source of power. He was aware that his child would be raised by grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins who would adore and mentor him. Maddie was also aware of the significance. Their child would not only be their child, but also a part of something greater, a living continuation of a tale that had started far earlier. The simple moments that brought families together were what left a legacy, not statistics or news stories. Looking ahead, Jason and Maddie understood that their child would inherit more than just a name. He would inherit a place in a family with deep roots and branches that kept reaching into the future. Jason and Maddie had been secretly getting ready for this moment long before the news was made public. Their days were characterized by hushed discussions, covert smiles, and the sort of preparation that only those bearing important news can comprehend. At first, they had decided to keep the pregnancy a secret, treating it like a delicate gem. Jason would sit next to Maddie on calm evenings, picturing the life that was gradually taking shape while she rested her palm on her stomach. They discussed the future together, including nurseries, lullabies, and the types of parents they wanted to be. Their closest relatives observed little alterations behind the scenes. Jason's guarded demeanor, Maddie's radiance, and the way their glances seemed to convey unsaid messages. There was a feeling that something amazing was happening, even if no one asked them questions. Jason and Maddie wanted the news to be flawless when the time came to break the news. They practiced saying it, holding hands, and revealing Maddie's commitment to name the child. Sincerity and allowing the public to witness the love and optimism they conveyed were more important than spectacle. Therefore, it felt natural to make the announcement. The happiness that spilt out wasn't practiced, but it was ready, nourished in the silence, fortified by confidentiality, and then let loose in the open. The world was only catching up to Jason and Maddie, who had already started their journey as parents behind the scenes. Faith has always been the cornerstone of life in the Duggar household. It influenced customs, directed decisions, and provided support during uncertain times. Being parents was a spiritual and emotional experience for Jason and Maddie, firmly anchored in the principles they had upheld since they were young. Quietly reverent prayers were said as the family gathered around them. Blessings filled the room, asking for wisdom to lead Jason as he got ready to become a father and for protection for Maddie and the unborn child. It seemed as though the family was enveloping the newlyweds in a shield of love because of the emotional, hopeful, and grateful environment. Jason felt the burden of duty, but it was lessened by the reassurance that he wasn't alone. Maddie's faith was evident in her calm assurance and her conviction that this child was a gift to be treasured. They relied on the strength of their family's customs together, taking comfort in the practices that had supported generations before them. The promise of faith was a living presence in their home, not just a set of words. It served as a reminder to Jason and Maddie that their child would be raised with a foundation of beliefs that would help him navigate the difficulties of life in addition to family. Faith and family were linked at that point, united in the hope of a future full of love, tenacity, and dedication. The announcement quickly spread beyond fan communities and family circles. Soon, news outlets and internet organizations eager to spread the word carried the tale of Jason Duggar and Maddie Grace's pregnancy into the headlines. The couple's happiness was highlighted by reporters who incorporated their words into pieces that were read by readers far beyond the Duggar fan base. Images of Maddie and Jason grinning together started to go viral, their joy caught in pictures that seemed to exude optimism. The story was taken up by television segments, which presented it as the next development in the Duggar family's ever-growing legacy. While some commentators highlighted Maddie's sincere pledge to name her child after delivery, others discussed Jason's journey from childhood to fatherhood. There was excitement, celebration, and warmth throughout the coverage. The media attention was both humbling and odd for Jason and Maddie. They had been sincere in their news sharing, not realizing how quickly it would spread. Their personal happiness was now being celebrated in public, with voices from all over the nation joining in. The attention felt like a surge of encouragement rather than overwhelming. Every headline, every broadcast, and every shared photo served as a reminder that their tale was not unique to them. Rather, it was a part of a greater story that linked them to innumerable others who had found happiness and hope along the way. Everyone appeared to notice Maddie Grace's radiance as the days after the announcement went by. It was more than just the happiness of being pregnant. It was something more profound, an inner glow. Every room she entered seemed to be made brighter by her presence. Her laughter felt fuller, and her smile lasted longer. Her glow was praised by family members, who said that joy had softened her features and given her a gentle power. Maddie had a grace that mirrored the life blossoming within her. Even in the most mundane situations, such as conversing, strolling through the garden, or sitting at the table, Jason kept a close eye on her, frequently in wonder. He noticed how her hands reflexively rested on her tummy as if already shielding the child, and how her eyes gleamed as she talked about the baby. More than just beauty, Maddie's radiance represented optimism, love, and the connection they were forging. Everyone in her immediate vicinity was reminded by the radiance that fresh starts were taking place. It was more than simply the impending baby. It was about Maddie's metamorphosis and how motherhood was already molding her personality. The family found comfort in that radiance, knowing that this trip was full of happiness, fortitude, and the hope of a future as brilliant as Maddie herself. Jason experienced a new type of energy in the days after the news. His gait changed, he walked more quickly, grinned more widely, and laughed more often. It seemed as if the mere prospect of becoming a father had roused an inner thrill that would not go away. He frequently talked about the future, seeing the minute elements that gave the trip a sense of realism. He imagined the first moment he held his child, teaching him to walk and teaching him life skills. Jason was excited about the little things like bedtime stories, family dinners, and the peaceful pleasure of being in the moment, rather than just far-off milestones. Maddie watched him lovingly, moved by the way his excitement seemed to increase every day. She observed how he had already embraced the role, protecting her, making plans, and talking about their child as if he were already here. Jason's enthusiasm turned into a source of courage and a constant reminder that they were traveling this journey together. The family also took notice. His parents smiled affectionately, acknowledging the spark of anticipation they had once had themselves, while his siblings teased him gently, calling him dad before the baby had even arrived. Jason didn't mind the jest. It just made him happier since it let him realize that everyone was celebrating this voyage. Jason discovered clarity in his excitement. Being a father was now a reality that was happening right in front of him, rather than a far-off dream. He was prepared to assume the position with love, commitment, and an optimistic spirit, and he embraced every idea, smile, and word completely. Jason and Maddie's world started to change into one of preparation as the months went by, with every day bringing them one step closer to the day their child would arrive. The exhilaration of the announcement had given way to the rhythm of anticipation. The couple devoted evenings to designing the nursery, selecting muted hues and delicate designs that mirrored their aspirations for a tranquil area. Tiny clothing were folded neatly and placed in boxes, each serving as a reminder of the life that would soon inhabit them. With a soft grin, Maddie strolled around shops, stroking toys and blankets as she thought of the day she would put them in her child's hands. Jason's focus was on being prepared. He put things together, double-checked lists, and talked a lot about wanting everything to be just right before the baby was born. His enthusiasm was matched by a resolve to provide, to make sure that their home was cozy and safe in addition to being full of love. During the countdown, family members gave advice, told tales, and gave the infant modest gifts. Each gesture created a feeling of camaraderie around Jason and Maddie and increased the sense of expectancy. The countdown was timed in moments rather than just digits. The whispered prayers at night, the sound of Maddie laughing, and Jason's hand on her shoulder. Every second brought them one step closer to the day when they would no longer have to wait and start their new life as parents. At last, the day came when expectation gave way to reality. As they welcomed their newborn into the world, Jason and Maddie stood side by side, their hearts full. The sound of a first cry that seemed to reverberate with promise filled the silent yet powerful moment. Maddie's eyes were full of happy tears as she clutched her infant close. Overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation, Jason leaned in and placed a kind touch on the infant. This was the result of all the months of waiting, the innumerable discussions, the preparations, and the dreams. The family huddled together, their voices low in respect. As they saw the start of a new life, one that carried the love of generations with it, they mixed tears and smiles. As Maddie selected the name that would signal the beginning of her child's adventure, her promise hung in the air, shortly to be realized. For Jason, it was the fulfillment of all his dreams. He was now a father and no longer merely a brother, son, or partner. And for Maddie, the joy of motherhood had replaced the light she had carried during her pregnancy, and it now shone even brighter. This marked the start of something bigger rather than the conclusion of their tale. A new chapter had begun, one that was full of difficulties, humor, and the unbreakable bond of family. Jason and Maddie understood that the future was ahead of them as they gazed at their child, and they were prepared to welcome it together. If you're looking for more Duggar family exclusive gossip, come back to Vogue TV for all your updates by guys.